Texas wants to build another wall, but this is a wall between it and another American state, New Mexico. Is this even legal? The answer appears to be no. This is the latest ridiculous, radicalized screed from Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who said at the Manhattan Institute event over the weekend at which he spoke, it's not just Mexico we're going to build a wall with, next to, up against. We are going to have to build one with New Mexico as well. Take a listen to this.
And so not only are we building border barriers between the border of Texas and Mexico, we're also having now to build border barriers between Texas and New Mexico.
Now, why is this? Well, part of the issue that Greg Abbott has is that New Mexico has become almost like a safe harbor state for those unable to obtain the reproductive health care that they want or need in Texas. And some are going to the far more blue state of New Mexico. Now, Greg Abbott mentions, by the way, we've built some barriers with Mexico. Some of those barriers, including the floating water-based barriers that we've talked about many times on the bonus show, have been deemed illegal and ordered taken down. So the casual nature with which Greg Abbott says, listen, we built some with Mexico and we'll build some with New Mexico. Many of the Mexico ones are illegal. And this that he is proposing with New Mexico is almost certainly also against the law. Now, remember, these are Republicans who say law and order is the priority. Always, always most important, due process, constitutional rights, law and order. And yet, January 6th, demanding Bob Menendez resign, but neither Trump drop out of the race nor Santos resign, even though they've been indicted, saying, okay, fine. It's not exactly legal what Russia did to Ukraine, but I think we should get out of there and not defend them and lock them up, lock this person up, lock that person up. They say they're about due process and law and order. We know that they are not. It seems abundantly clear that you can't put up a wall with another state. Remember how actually there's a funny hypocrisy. Hypocrisy doesn't matter to Republicans anymore. But remember during COVID, how the right wingers would say, you can't limit people's ability to travel between states. No, you can't do that because of the Commerce Clause and because of all these other things. Well, that is now apparently not a concern when it comes to putting up a wall between Texas and New Mexico. So a number of legal questions. Number one, yes, the Interstate Commerce Clause. The Interstate Commerce Clause, this is the U.S. Constitution, which gives Congress the power to regulate interstate commerce. If you were to erect a wall between states, you are arguably interfering with the flow of goods and services between states. That would be a violation of the Commerce Clause. If you're not convinced by that one, that's not the only legal problem here. There's something called the Privileges and Immunities Clause. That's in Article 4, Section 2. And it ensures that citizens of each state are afforded the same rights as citizens in all other states. If you put up a wall between Texas and New Mexico, you could be violating that clause, especially if the point and the outcome is to limit the movement of citizens from one state to another, particularly to avail themselves of things that are rights in New Mexico. Problem number 3, there's something called federal preemption. Immigration and border security specifically are primarily federal responsibilities in the United States. Now, you can make the argument a wall between states doesn't relate to international borders and it doesn't relate to immigration per se, but it is still a state taking action, stepping into what is normally federal jurisdiction. So that could be problem number 3 legally. And then number 4, I assure you that if you say, let's put up a wall between states, you are going to have land rights and environmental concerns, because if you build a wall that happens to be on the border, you would, number 1, almost certainly have to try to use eminent domain to obtain the private land. That could be challenged. There could be environmental and ecological concerns, especially if putting a wall across on an entire state affects ecosystems or wildlife migration patterns, which it almost certainly would. So is Greg Abbott really going to build a wall between Texas and New Mexico? I assume the answer is almost certainly not. Does the mere fact that he's willing to mention it show that either he or he assumes his followers are completely ignorant of the law and restrictions upon building such a wall? Yeah. Either Greg Abbott doesn't know that this would be against the law, or Greg Abbott knows, but assumes that the people who would see this as exciting red meat wouldn't know any better. Probably the latter would be my guess. My guess is Greg Abbott privately has been advised, sir, it pains me to tell you this, but you can't do this. And he's assuming that he'll get points from his followers because they won't know any better. That's my guess. My prediction, if I were a betting man, and I'm not, but if I were a betting man, my prediction is no such wall gets built. Let me know what you think in the comments in an email. I'll keep you posted. If such a wall does get built, I'll be the first to tell you.